regardless of what the bad and the good cops do.
It reminds me of the movie, and I know you don't like it, Nathan, but the movie Crash, when I had seen it, and it was like, even when that guy, I don't know for folks, listeners who've seen it, but if even when the scene where the officer who portrays like a quote unquote good police officer and wants to kind of like, tell the sheriff that his partner is literally, assaulted a black woman. And but he was like, I'm not gonna,
Right.
you want to be known as a rat? He's like, and
Mm-hmm.
especially him being a sheriff who happened to be black was like, and then how is it gonna look on me for, accepting this behavior under my leadership? Like, nah, man, go sit your ass by yourself. And it's like, it's how you
Mm-hmm.
said, it's not, it's not that they don't see color, but it's like, it's that brotherhood. It's like you said, almost like a gang. It's blue lives before anyone else,
Right.
which isn't even real, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
go ahead. We
Um,
have a couple more minutes before we close off. So if y'all want to share last pieces.
I had a professor once, and I don't remember their name, but I know it was a sociology class, and they were formerly incarcerated, and they were talking about this one time that there was an incident, and they ended up arresting him, putting him in the back of the cop car, and there's two guys, and instead of taking him to like the station or anywhere else, they ended up going to un barrio, like against the other a rival gang, and they ended up like going on the mic and saying like, hey, so and so is here, come and get him, and they threw him out. And so basically, like, shots were fired, he was running. And so it's like, even just that, like how just they're complacent to like this whole, I don't know what I want to say, but how to word it, but it's like they don't, it's like, like why would they do that? People have like idolized the cops, but yet they're like so fucked up. Like,
Yeah, like what you're
do you get
saying
what I
is,
mean?
yeah, the tactic is a really old tactic, right?
Mm-hmm.
That of I mean, policing also comes with a lot of office work, and I mean, no one wants to do office work. There's a reason why it's like an awful job, right? It's monotonous, and if you mess up, like you get in trouble. And so you see something happen with someone that you're familiar with, it's easier to just have, street justice, quote unquote, street justice take over. And uh, that goes back to the level of power and authority and the monopoly on authority that the police have. That, I mean, who's going to believe the
Mm-hmm.
person who is being victimized as opposed to the police? Because again, we've created this mythology of believing that the police are definitely on the good side,
Yeah.
right? Um, and we never think about like the tactics that they use, right? One of the most problematic things that we have with the police is that for the most part, most police stations in the United States have been trained in one way or another by the state of Israel, right? Where they are essentially contracting training from uh, the Mossad agents, which is their secret service, or their secret service slash intelligence agency, and how though that a lot of the trainings that we see, like we saw last summer, what was happening in Jerusalem, where Israeli settlers, and we should be really careful when we talk about Israel because there's a thin line between criticizing Israel and anti-Semitism, right? So Israeli people, Israeli settlers coming into the the Muslim area of Jerusalem and taking those lands. Like there was that video of that dude who was from Brooklyn who said, "You know what? If I don't steal it, someone else is going to do it." Very matter of factly, he said it because he wasn't wrong. Someone will take that land away from those Palestinian people. And the way that they engage in that theft of land comes through violence, which those tactics are then used to train police forces around the world. The, the biggest contractor of those tactics is the LAPD. We we as a city we pay for that, and we pay it twice because a lot of our tax money gets like national tax money gets sent to Israel, which then trains those Mossad agents, which we then our tax money here in the city of LA, which pays for the police, then pays Israel again, right? And so we have this constant the cycle, right, of just using money to consistently use force against people, whether it's here or in Palestine, whether it's here or in, Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, where you see like the stark contrast in how policing keeps the wealthy and the poor. Like they literally walled up the favelas during the World Cup and the Olympics to make sure that people didn't have to see poor people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to enforce that is through the police.
Yeah.
So
I have another question actually, and I think it's really broad and it's a complicated question.
Okay.
But do you think, or just within conversation, is it possible to reform a system that's been embedded so deeply, or should the fall of it or the deconstruction of it happen in order to, I don't know, recreate some other form of community based, like policing? I don't want to say policing, but protection.
Safety.
Right. I mean, the policing concept will always be there,
Yes.
right? Whether it's community policing or government issued policing, right? What your question is asking is really a matter of perspective, right? If you believe that capitalism can save you, then of course you're going to want to believe that the police system can be reformed. In fact, that's part of the reason why many of us are here, right? Our parents, one way or another, whether it was through choice or most likely through circumstance, that they came to this country thinking that there could be something better, right? Now, of course, the American nightmare that a lot of our families have lived has proven that otherwise. But if you believe in that concept of the American dream, then of course you're going to believe in that. And if you believe that change can happen from within, then you're going to follow the rules and you're going to continue to believe in that. And that's kind of the hope that the United States promises everyone. It'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better. And the way we talk about history, the way we talk about, the past, like the way we even talk about people like Martin Luther King, right? We never focus on the actual radical things that they say because I have a dream fits into a very milquetoast concept of the United States. Mm-hmm. So if you believe in the United States, then of course you're going to believe that it can be reformed. On the other hand, history has shown us that reforming a system that is designed and embedded into the way that has, or into a system that has engaged in genocide, in settler colonialism, in slavery, in the theft of land, of indigenous, Mexican, Black, Asian people, is not really going to change, right? So again, it's a matter of perspective, right? If you think that America will be better, right? Then of course you think it's going to be better. Like the policing is going to get better. That policing can fix its problems, right? Just like you can easily believe that you becoming wealthy is going to make things better for you, right? Without actually recognizing that your wealth is dependent on someone else's suffering, right? So
that part.
Yeah. That part.
So it depends, right? Personally, I don't think you can fix a system that's broken. Like, last week when Ketanji Brown Jackson was, selected to be officially part of the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. That happened. I'm like,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, that's nice that we have a Black woman in the Supreme Court, but one person working for the country doesn't really change the whole situation for everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because it's like, I get when people are like, damn, finally, like it's been past the time to see a woman of color, a Black woman up there so high. But it's like, I think someone had mentioned a quote that Malcolm X had said, and it's like, you stab a man 7 times, and just because you pull out a knife just a little bit, something like that, you think that's progress. Like, it's like, so I get both sides of the coin where it's like, it's about damn time. And then it's also like, okay, I mean, I think you had posted a little bit about where her agenda aligns, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, she's anti-union.
Yeah.
In a time that we need workers' rights.
And it falls in line with
elected anti-union. Sorry?
No, just the same with Kamala Harris. Being the first Black woman to be vice president. It's like, that's great, but y'all know she's a cop, right? Y'all know she's gonna be pro.
Even beyond that, like, I mean, that whole concept of her being a cop is like, I mean, yeah, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's not really indicative of who she is, right? I think the bigger concern, if you remember a couple years ago when Prop 22 was there, where that essentially said Uber and Grubhub have to pay their workers, right? Who led that charge? Her fucking brother. That is more concerning than Kamala Harris being a cop. Because if that family is working against workers, that woman is now the vice president of the United States in a position of power in a time where Amazon warehouses are beginning to unionize, in a time where Starbucks are beginning to unionize. The second most powerful person in this country, militarily speaking, is against that.
Yeah.
That's more concerning than actually her being pro-cop, because everybody that works in the American establishment is going to be pro-cop in one way or another, right? Because that's the system that they bought into, right? So can you reform a system that has those things embedded in it? You have to believe in the system to believe that it can be changed. If you believe that you will one day use your wealth for a positive rather than for personal gain, then I would like to see who you're talking about, because there has never been in the history of American capitalism where you have people giving away money without strings attached, right? And you can point to, what's her name? Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, who's giving away money, but a lot of that shit comes with strings attached.
Yeah.
Right? It's a really complicated idea to believe that that you're gonna buy your way out of poverty. And it may be true, right? And you may be able to be like O.J. Simpson and pay all the money in the world to be acquitted of a murder, right? But he still went to jail for stealing his own shit. So, he ended up in poverty anyways. So, do you really believe that an American system that doesn't care about people of color, that steals land, that does everything against you, is going to welcome you with open arms?
No.
But we believe in those things. I mean, we as children of immigrants, we constantly have this narrative that my family struggled to get here, and we buy into that, to be honest, boring ass story, because it's not a unique story anymore if we're all saying it, right? Us saying it doesn't actually mean anything when we're still fucking dealing with that same problem. If we have to come to this country and struggle, then maybe the struggle isn't an actual thing and just the reality that we're going to have to live in. And it's not going to change in this country.
It's the same as when people said, like, I just can't wait until I make it. And it's like, what does quote unquote making it look like? Because it's different for everybody, but.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
I mean, if I could keep the lights on, that's me making it. I mean,
if I got gas, I'm making it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't fix a system that's been broken.
And it's
it's not broken.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, it's broken for us, though. It was designed that way.
It was designed against us.
It's
right?
Yes.
We have to, because that concept of it being broken is the concept that it can be fixed, right? It was never designed for us.
Some things can't be fixed, though.
Like the concept of Jesus was not meant for us.
Oh, hell no.
Right? The concept of capitalism, not meant for us. The concept of American democracy, not meant for us. So it's not broken. It's working exactly the way it should. Mm-hmm. So.
That's so funny. Someone said that to me too once when I was talking about the whole like university system and stuff. Mm-hmm. I was like built to like, for the white elitists and then built for us to like assimilate us. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
We should do a segment on that too. Just academia.
If you really want to reach the people, teach a community college. Like, honestly, like...
Okay.
True.
No. I mean, like, I remember I had a professor who was like, I don't want to, like, deal with grad students because I want to focus on the students, right? Like, the undergrads. And I'm like, But you're at this university, like, you don't actually focus on the people. You just focus on a select group of people because